Hey, we're back again with another Q&A. Anything that I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your doc before implementing any of the information we're going to share with you. And with that, let's just dive right in, Steve. There's a lot of people, a lot of questions.
And we're going to get to them all. Millie P310 from Rumble. I'm having to put my service dog down. We're sorry to hear that. What do you recommend to get me through the dark days ahead? Maybe some supplements?
I think the best thing is to get another dog. Happens with, unfortunately, dogs don't live as long as humans, so you're going to probably have to get another pet. So that's what I would recommend.
All right, well, good luck with that. We all feel for you. Angela from YouTube. My 76-year-old mom has lupus, kidney issues, and is on oral chemo. She is always tired, bloated, and barely eats. I'm worried about her, and I am looking for a natural alternative way to support her health. Help, says Angela.
Yeah, one of the challenges when you have the kidney issues, depending on how bad the kidney is, if it's a stage 4 or 5, then there's certain nutrients you can't really take large amounts. So I would check with your doctor and then see if you could really increase your vitamin D levels, because that is going to be probably the best thing to reduce inflammation. And a lot of people with your condition are just deficient in vitamin D, so they don't get the benefit of the anti-inflammatory effect. And so then they're more susceptible to developing autoimmune diseases. So that's what I would do. And of course, try to inch over to, cleaner lifestyle, eating healthier. At least that's going to greatly reduce some of the symptoms you're running into right now.
Okay, that's great. Let's, speaking of vitamin D, we have 2 guests, but there was a third, and we just couldn't get him connected up right. But I was able to gather what his question was. His name is Muhammad, and he has vitiligo, and it's appearing on his face. He's a dark-skinned gentleman otherwise. And he said he's been taking 2 or 3 of your vitamin D3 capsules. I don't know if that's helpful for this condition, but he's going to ask you that. And if that, should he take more, or are there other approaches to help offset his problem with vitiligo? Again, that's Muhammad, who will be watching on YouTube.
There's some great data I would dive into relating to that with the Coimbra protocol, which is the higher doses of vitamin D3. There's one study that was done, I think they were using 30,000 IUs of vitamin D3, but it all depends on you and what other things that could be blocking vitamin D. And of course, this is going to relate to one of the questions we're going to ask, so I'm not going to give you too much. But you want to, when you take higher doses of vitamin D3, you want to take magnesium, take zinc, and if you're trying to do a therapeutic thing for a condition, you get a doctor to supervise that knows about vitamin D. And maybe I should just literally put that on my website, because a lot of people want to know who can help me navigate through that, and also maybe check your parathyroid hormone, because the parathyroid hormone is kind of like you can look at it like another backup system for vitamin D. So if you're low in vitamin D, parathyroid increases to help regulate calcium, and it'll actually even take bone out of the calcium out of the bone. So one way to know that you got enough vitamin D is if you're taking it and your parathyroid is coming down to the low normal, then we're like, okay, good, so it must be working. So it's just an indirect surrogate way of figuring this out. That being said, there's some great data on just therapeutic doses of vitamin D3 and getting rid of vitiligo. That's the area I would go, and it does take some time to fix that, so don't give up.
All right, Muhammad, we hope you're watching on YouTube, and thanks for your question. Sorry we couldn't get you on live, but we do want you, Muhammad, and everyone else to look at our various questions, and here's the first one for the day.
How can a person really be hungry after an hour of eating? I mean, I don't know if you've ever noticed that, where, some people, maybe even yourself, you just ate. An hour to an hour and a half later, you're hungry. How can that be? It's illogical. But tell me what your answer is.
All right, you talk to it. And I'm sure we'll talk later about intermittent fasting, which cured me of that horrible curse. But anyway. there's a lot of people out there that will, I'm sure, answer that. And speaking of a lot of people out there, let's go back to social media. Where Sadie from YouTube, what are your thoughts about the benefit of eating kimchi, fermented cabbage?
Oh, I think it's awesome. It's probably one of the best foods you can eat, parallel with sauerkraut. Kimchi is just a little bit better, I think, because it has additional vegetables in there, and it's pretty spicy. So you get the benefit of the cabbage and the garlic and these other things that normally might not be in sauerkraut. So that's a benefit. There's also an interesting microbe that is very unique to kimchi that apparently helps sinus issues. And so I think that would be something very smart to start consuming for sure.
All right, very good. Well, I tell you what, we're really sort of catering to our green room folks today. We have another one. This is Ali, and he's coming from London, and he's got a house full of kids. So we want to see if we can't help him out by bringing him up. Hang on, you had it right there. Hold your video the way it was, sir. Hang on, I'll bring it up. And there you go. Okay, Ali, go ahead with your one question, sir.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Bark. It was nice to, joining your meeting. My first question is how to lower my diastolic blood pressure. I've recently got blood pressure a few weeks ago, and after following your all the routine and everything, I have managed to come down from 156 to 130, 135. It's just the lower one, it's just not going down underneath 90. So that's my question.
Okay, great. So there's the top number is the systolic. That's more controlled by a part of the nervous system called the flight or fight or the sympathetics. The bottom number is controlled more of the parasympathetics. And so if the bottom number is just not coming down, you want to support the autonomic nervous system. A couple things to do that is when you exercise, let's say you're doing a short, intense, high interval training type exercise, make sure you give yourself more time in between that rest period or during that rest period, because when you spike the blood pressure, the pulse rate comes down not passively, it's actively being pushed down by this parasympathetic nervous system. So if you don't let it do that and you go too fast, sometimes like in certain exercise programs, they don't give you a lot of rest time. And then you don't get the benefit of strengthening the parasympathetic nervous system. So you want to do this short burst of exercise with a lot of rest, let it come all the way down and support it. Nutritionally, you can support it with vitamin B1, maybe some adrenal support, ashwagandha, there's a lot of things with that. But, it's not just necessarily hardening of the arteries that causes blood pressure problems. Usually the body is compensating because maybe a part of your organs don't have enough oxygen or blood flow. So it has to increase the pressure to push it through. That's one reason. So there's usually some type of, your body's trying to compensate for something. So I always go back to the basics. Are you getting enough vitamin D? Because vitamin D increases more of a relaxation in the arteries. Potassium and magnesium. Those three, you can do a lot with blood pressure by upping those amounts.
And by the way, Ali, just for the audience, can you tell us what your low number has generally been? So one down to 135 on the top number. What's your lower number?
Low number recently, like when I had I was panicked like a few weeks ago. The incident happened. Sorry to take a bit time. So my upper number went up to 175 and lower number went 97. Then obviously, like, that's a wake up call. First time in my life something like happened. I have started digging in like how to fix it naturally rather than depending on the medicines. And then I started watching Dr. Wag's videos and started intermittent fasting and everything. And in 3 weeks time, I've managed to lose 8 kilos, healthy way, like proper healthy way, not losing my energy or anything. And then the upper number, even just before the show, I've checked it, is 133, and lower number is 89.
Oh boy.
Okay, you're on your way. I think I'd give it more time. Keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, it's working. But it's pretty bizarre to me that just the whole medical system is all about just managing your symptoms. You don't necessarily go to a doctor unless you have a symptom. And then if you don't have a symptom, and then there's no billing code, and there's like, what are you here for? So it's really an interesting system that we're dealing with that I hope will change sooner or later.
Well, thanks for that great question, Ali, and congratulations on your weight loss and lowering blood pressure and all the things that Dr. Berg seems to help many of us with. And speaking of many of us, let's go ahead and acknowledge those that are watching around the world. So we'd like to say a good day to all of our viewers joining us today from the UK. Thank you, Ali. Canada, Mexico, Indonesia, Albania, Denmark, Ethiopia, New Zealand, Malta, the Netherlands, Pakistan, Poland, India, South Africa, the Philippines, Moldova, Brunei, Finland, the Virgin Islands, Brazil, Jordan, American Samoa, Japan, France, Ireland, Vietnam, Belgium, Peru, Australia, Germany, Kurdistan, if I said that right, Israel, Switzerland, Eritrea, Panama, Trinidad and Tobago, Greece, Romania, Curacao, and we haven't heard from them for a while, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Bangladesh, the Dominican Republic, boy, big list, Turkey, Ghana, Portugal, Jamaica, Hong Kong, Slovenia, thank you, Terry, for all this hard work, Sweden, Hungary, Tanzania, and all across these United States. And as usual, we'll probably have a couple of holdouts that will come in. What about us? We'd love to tell everyone where you're from as well. So thanks, everybody, for watching around the world, and people like Ali who report back in the great results that you get from eating healthy according to Dr. Berg in this case. Joe from Rumble, what's the best remedy for low levels of potassium? Speaking of potassium.
It's very rare for potassium to show low in the blood. So if it's low in the blood, it's low because normally most of the potassium is inside the cell, like 99% of it, and only 1% in the blood. So you can be very low and everything is normal in your blood. So if you're low in the blood, then you need to start dramatically increasing more potassium in the diet. Avocados have probably the most potassium, but you get potassium from leafy greens, and you might need to take a potassium electrolyte powder to beef up that level because you need potassium to generate enough power to activate your muscles and your nervous system, because one of the things it does is it helps to provide for a mechanical pump in your cells to generate electricity in like a battery. And if you don't have that, that electrolyte is gone, then you're just going to be tired and things aren't going to work as well. You might have fluid retention too.
All right. Well, let's see. Our Johnny on the Spot audience has already answered quiz question number 1, which asked, how can a person really be hungry after an hour of eating? You used to be able to ask me that. 84% of the respondents say there's not enough nutrient-dense foods being eaten in that hour-long meal. 10% say it's a meal with too many carbs or not enough protein, and 6% say it's because of high blood sugars. Do we have any winners yet today?
Yeah, we do have some winners, and it is a very interesting question because, I mean, we just ate. Why would we possibly be hungry? Are we really hungry? There is a fake signals that are going to the brain if your blood sugars are really low. And typically, if you eat a carb-heavy meal, that insulin is going to come in there and it's going to start pushing that blood sugar down and give you these signals that you're hungry again, mainly for sugar. But this is a fake thing, and it keeps you eating, and it keeps you fat, and it keeps you tired. So if you cut down the carbs and you eat food, you're not going to be hungry in a half hour if it's nutrient dense. Then the body can start to tap into your own fat, and then you can go long periods of time without food. What we're really trying to get people to do is mimic what our body was designed to eat long ago, and kind of mimic the environment, mimic the foods, mimic the times that you eat. And rather than wait for some study that is conducted that says, oh, we found out junk food is bad for us, which is very difficult to isolate and do that objectively. So anyway, just go back to what makes common sense, which is go back to how our bodies were designed to eat. And you won't be hungry if you eat correctly.
Wonderful news. Here's quiz question number 2, Doc.
Okay. Which food has more antioxidants, blueberries or pomegranate. And I'm talking about like just the concentration of antioxidants.
All right, audience, climb on that. That'll be interesting to know. So let me mark that down. We just asked quiz question number 2, and then we'll go to Petra, 81 from Rumble. If I'm not eating, I don't crave sugar, speak of the devil, but immediately after I eat a meal with protein and fats and no carbs, I crave sweets big time. Now that's a little backwards, isn't it? What's going on?
Well,
Petra wants to know.
all this means is that you haven't adapted yet to this, to the enzymes that help you get into ketosis. So just give it more time, because when you initially do that, your blood sugars still have insulin resistance. So now there's a problem with the absorption of nutrients. It's delayed, and those signals that come along with it. But you're doing the right thing, protein and fat, cut down the carbs, and just give it more time. And those cravings will go away. I promise you they will.
All right, thank goodness. And by the way, just a quick, well, let's see. Just a quick shot. I just want to show something cute. So Ollie's done with us, but one of his beautiful kids, his daughter, is doing a little quick cameo. So there you are, Allie. Your beautiful daughter's on for a quick second. And that's the end of that. So all the best from London and all your kids. Let's see. Let's go back to social media. Alicia from Facebook, what products would you recommend to get rid of parasites?
Wormwood extract and black walnut hulls. The combination of those two are, they make the environment where the parasites just have to check out. They have to leave your body. And so those are 2 good remedies that I would recommend.
All right, very good. Let's go to Carrie from Facebook. I have high white cell count. Lymph nodes are swollen in my neck. What's going on?
So that's a normal reaction. If I don't have any other information, then that could be a normal reaction to an infection, because your white blood cells should go up and it should start fighting. That's a good thing, right? People are so against getting sick, getting an infection. Well, that's how you train your immune system. So it's okay to have a fever. It's okay to get sick. Just go through it and let it go through the process, and you will have a stronger immune system at the end of it. That's really what it's about, strengthening the immune system, not artificially trying to suppress every infection that comes along. Now, if you are doing all the right things and this is going on too long, then that's a whole other topic, in which case you need to increase the supporting factors for the immune system, which is number 1, vitamin D. It's the most important. Number 2, zinc.
Well, that's good to hear, Doc, because we're all sort of horrified by lymph nodes. Usually it seems to portend some awful, disease.
Do you know
what
the purpose of a lymph node is, Steve?
To gather infection, sort of?
Well, there's lymph nodes that are in your neck, in your throat. There's lymph nodes in your armpits. So they're there to act as a mini little area to prevent the infection from going down deeper into the tissues, into your hands and stuff like that. So if you can catch it right at the throat level and deal with it, and also get signals to let the rest of the body know, we got a virus coming in, and then the immune system can actually do its thing. So there's strategic reasons why these lymph nodes are located and what they do, and they help you.
Wow, that's fascinating. Well, the audience always helps us with their quick answers. And quiz question number 2, they have answered, which asks, which foods have more antioxidants? Blueberries, which I love, or pomegranate, which I think are weird. Not that it matters what I think. 55% of our respondents say blueberries, and 45% say it's pomegranate. Kind of a split.
Okay, so the answer is blueberries. However, pomegranates have some very unique antioxidants that are not in any other food. And pomegranates are fascinating because there's effects of decreasing risk for prostate cancer, directly killing candida, herpes virus. And there's some data that shows that it's really good to inhibit plaque formation, and also to improve the post-surgical memory loss. I mean, it's like, wow, that's fascinating. So it has some interesting effects. So it's not just about how many antioxidants you have. It's like, what can those antioxidants do for you?
All right, very good. Well, let's try another question out on the audience. This one is a true falser.
Okay, true or false? Symptoms are generally early warning signs.
Sort of a general question there. Okay, audience, jump on that. Susan from Facebook. Can a hiatal hernia interfere with food absorption and weight loss?
Possibly, maybe, depends how big it is, but typically I think it's just going to create more of an uncomfortable feeling. One of the things that you might want to do if you have a hiatal hernia is to start to increase more betaine hydrochloride to acidify the stomach, and also do some manual type massage underneath your rib cage on the left and right side to help to push that back in. But I have done some videos on this in the past to show you how to do this. Might be a good idea to do another one.
Okay, doctor, do you mind telling the audience what a hiatal hernia is? What is that thing?
What happens is you have this fascial kind of protective layer underneath right by your diaphragm, underneath your stomach, and there's a weakness within that wall of the fascia, and then you can get this kind of like this ballooning effect from the stomach out through that area. So now we have you can have a hernia like in your lower abdomen. It could be around the stomach area. It can be in different places. So it's kind of like a bulging of tissue that's going through the fascia.
Ouch. Okay, Ruth from Rumble. Are proteolytic enzymes helpful to get rid of inflammation and relieve joint pain?
I think you're talking about proteolytic enzymes.
Proteolytic. Yeah. Terry knows what a dunce I am, so he like phonetically spells it out, and I still can't get it. But anyway, I think what you said is probably correct.
So if does protein enzymes help with what?
Help with inflammation and relieve joint pain.
Oh, there's some data on that, and I think they do. I just have not thoroughly evaluated to see if what percentage or what degree it can help you with, but something to try. I do know there's certain enzymes from like silkworms that help decrease fibrosis, scar tissue in the body, and inflammation. So there are quite a few enzymes that are anti-inflammatory, but I couldn't give you any more details on that.
All right, very good. Let's ask them one more question then, because they're getting through them so quick. It asks, true, false, symptoms are generally early warning signs. Let's see, and 73% say it's true, and 27% say it's false. They are not early warning signs. Who's right?
They're not. It's false. Let me explain. A lot of symptoms are compensating. Now, if I took a hammer to Steve's finger and I smashed it, obviously you're going to hurt. That would be kind of an instant warning sign, right? But for typically a lot of problems, these symptoms are later warning signs. They don't show up initially. And like blood pressure takes 10 to 15 years before you get a symptom. Fatty liver cirrhosis, you could literally, wait until 75% of the liver becomes destroyed before you even get symptoms. Let's take diabetes. It takes, 15 to 20 years before you even know you have diabetes. So colon cancer, by the time you get a symptom, you have stage 4 cancer. So these, you can't always depend on symptoms to tell you what's going on. And then on top of that, people kind of ignore symptoms when they get them. So by the time you get like the 4 main symptoms of diabetes, which is like visual problems, kidney problems, heart problems, brain dementia, which by the way takes a long time too, and feet problems, you've already had it for 15 years. So what happens is that even the biomarkers for diabetes, because when you go to the doctor, they're always checking the blood sugars. How the heck, Steve, could someone consume the average amount of sugar, which is basically between 15 teaspoons to 30 teaspoons a day of sugar, if we're talking about the starches, hidden starches, or the hidden sugar in the starches? How could they consume that much sugar but have normal blood sugar? And that has to do with that insulin. And insulin is a hormone that is working in the background, that's rarely ever tested. And that's just like a vacuum cleaner sucking out this sugar, to keep you normal, to compensate for your way too much sugar diet. And so you can't really go by symptoms. You might, you know, ask yourself, where does that sugar go? It's going to go in your belly. It's as fat, and that is a symptom. But with diabetes, I mean, you got all this compensation until eventually the pancreas gets so tired it says, okay, I had it. I can't compensate anymore for your diet. And then we get insulin that goes down, and then the blood sugar goes up because there's nothing to control it. And then you have diabetes.
That is awful. And speaking of the pancreas and speaking of symptoms, so you know, a symptom-free disease often to the end is pancreatic cancer. So they say, I got a little, oh, it hurts. You go and you have 4 months to live. Is there any approach we should be doing in general? I don't know about that in particular, but you know, if we choose not to ignore symptoms, what can we do to maybe try to, you know, get a step ahead of such horrifying diseases?
Well, I've been trying to communicate this for 57,000 different times in many different videos. Best thing is to eat and live to avoid these problems. So that's what I would recommend. You know, if you have bad habits, especially with eating and other things, let's say you're not even sleeping, you don't exercise, you're sedentary, whatever, and you feel fine and you have no symptoms, you're just kind of gambling. You're just waiting until you get it. Why would you even want to wait? So the whole thing is to have awareness, you know, live healthily so you can avoid these, because you can't always go by symptoms. And then if you do have symptoms, instead of managing the symptom with a drug, and this is what happens when you go to the doctor, right? You have inflammation, they give you a drug. If you have blood pressure, it's all about managing your warning signs or hiding them. But what about the root level cause, right? If we just take diabetes, what is diabetes? It's too much sugar in the blood. Do the doctors actually focus on that? No. They focus on giving you candy to keep you from having low blood sugar. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe it's just me, but it's bizarre to me.
No, that is very interesting. All right, well, there you have it. Let's see. Elizabeth from Facebook, is there a solution out there that can help with POTS, P-O-T-S disease?
Yeah, this is a condition where you stand up and you could either, like, you feel faint, it's hard to increase your position in space with gravity. Like, you have to you're fine if you lay down. This has to do with the autonomic nervous system that's not working, that can't keep the blood up to your brain quick enough. And this usually happens after certain things, which I'm not going to even mention because those are censored. But I will say that the solution is therapeutic doses, higher doses of natural B1. Okay, use natural B1 to be able to fix the POTS and restore the normal adaptive mechanism within the autonomic nervous system. Realize also that magnesium is the cofactor for B1, so you probably need to take magnesium with the B1.
All right, very good. Well, the last question about pancreatitis. I just saw BWise on YouTube popped up and said, do you have a video on chronic pancreatitis? Do you got something for them?
You know, I don't have a video on that, but pancreatitis, you know, there's rare things that can cause it, like tumors and cancer, things like that. But a more common cause is there's obstruction in the little duct, in the bile ducts. The bile ducts from the gallbladder and liver come and go into the small intestine, and they join with the pancreatic duct together as one. So if there's a sludge, which a lot of times people have too much bile sludge coming down, cholestasis is called, then that can back up the pancreas and cause pancreatitis. In which case, you need something like a good remedy called TUDCA, which is a bile salt, to help keep that backed up bile flowing freely and nicely. And just do your own research on TUDCA and pancreatitis, and you will see that it's a great remedy for that.
Wow, well, BWise, you just got your own personal free video from Dr. Berg based on your question. So there you have it. Let's go to quiz question number 4 for the day. There you have it, Doc.
Okay, true or false? The best way to know if you have enough testosterone is just to get your testosterone hormone tested. Right? Makes logical sense.
Yeah, it sure does. Okay, Sandra from Facebook, would eating pineapple help reduce inflammation?
So there's an enzyme in pineapple that that people take for inflammation, and it does work pretty good. I don't know any more than that. It's a common great thing to take, especially after surgery, to help you heal. So it's not a bad thing to take as kind of something to help you.
Okay, very good. Let's go to Tara from YouTube with an oft asked question. Is healthy keto okay for someone going through menopause?
Yes, totally okay. What's the alternative? More carbs? No. So yes, I would highly recommend it.
All right, very good. Tara, hope that informs you. Sarang, excuse me. Sarang from YouTube. I had my gallbladder removed and my digestion sucks. Please help.
Yeah. So now we don't have, usually we don't have enough bile. But sometimes you might have too much bile, but the real problem is you don't have the little sac that concentrates the bile. So you may be suffering from several issues. One is inability to break down fats properly, inability to extract fat-soluble nutrients from the food, and also there's another function of bile that helps keep the small intestine clear of microbes to prevent SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So what I would do if I were you is if you have diarrhea, I wouldn't do this solution, okay? But if you don't have diarrhea, because diarrhea means you have too much bile sometimes, I would start taking a remedy, but basically just bile salts after you eat to help you. And then also on an empty stomach, take a little Tutka here and there, just to see if that can actually solve your digestive problems, because now you can start to break down some of these fats and then make it easy for the pancreas to come in there and then take it to the next level.
All right, very good. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to answer quiz question number 4. Boy, they're going so fast today. And then we're going to go to Lewis, who is in our green room. We're going to bring him on the air. So Lewis will be with you in just a second, and maybe Lewis can help us answer this question, or maybe he participated. And it asks, true, false, the best way to know if you have enough testosterone is to get your testosterone hormone tested, which makes sense. 85% of our respondents say it's false. That's interesting. 15% say it's true.
Here's another fascinating answer that, I mean, I don't even know why they even do this, but when they determine, the question is, what is normal? Well, how do they determine normal? Do you realize that the way they determine normal is they take an average of the population and that's normal. And that's what you're comparing your testosterone to, everyone, all the other sick people. So now we're like, wait a second, aren't we supposed to compare it to maybe what normal testosterone was like when your grandfather was around or your father was around back, 40 years ago? We have so many plastics in the environment. We have so many endocrine disruptors which mimic estrogen that just a lot of people are just crashing their testosterone left and right. And then now we're going to tell you you're normal because you're just like everyone else. So this is the problem. It's not the best way to determine your normal testosterone or what that is. I would just do research and see what your ancestors had as normal. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lot more than what is listed on the normal ranges. And this is not just for testosterone, it's for other things too, which is just bizarre. I should do a video on that.
All right. Well, we've got next up a very excited Lewis, whose wife has helped him for the last 8 months plot a new journey using your various pieces of information. So, Lewis, go ahead with your one question for Dr. Berg, sir.
Yes. First, I want to thank you for everything that you helped with. But my question is, given my current ketogenic diet and supplement routine, like nutritional yeast, MCT oil, cod liver oil, D3, K2, B vitamins, magnesium glycinate, trace minerals, colostrum, kefir, rotary yogurt, are there any additions or adjustments you would recommend to better manage my epilepsy and occasional mild auras? Because I have been doing better since I was on the medicine. Much better.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Yeah, I think there's a couple little tweaks to epilepsy, and one of the things is the deeper the ketosis, the better with epilepsy. So this is why the traditional ketogenic diet that they use for it, it's a little bit different than what's recommended, even what I recommend, because they actually have much more fat. The fat is high compared to protein, to then provide more ability to make more ketones. So how can we do this? Well, we can add a bit more intermittent fasting. We can add more fat, and then you can add exercise to go deeper into ketosis to help the brain. There's some other things too that might benefit you, and that would be to start to introduce maybe some silica water or even a silica supplement, because silica is a wonderful chelator of metals, especially aluminum and things like that, and that's been known to help the brain. And this is where you're trying to support is the chaotic signals that then turn into epilepsy. But I think you're doing a lot right. We want to keep tweaking it and look at where I find a lot of great ideas from. I search out those people that are trying things that are underappreciated or that rarely does anyone know about or hear about it, or maybe even rejects. And I study those people who actually really get great results from all different sources. And then you get these clues that then will tell you what might work for you too. So I'm constantly doing that. And I'll keep updating my videos to help you.
Okay, I really appreciate it. And you have a great day. Enjoy the moment.
You too.
Thanks for a great call, Lewis. Really appreciate it. And once again, kudos to your wife for helping you so much. You seem really excited about her participation in that. So that's just tremendous. Let's go to Lewis. This is for you too. Our final quiz question of the day. And there it is, Doc.
How can someone with normal vitamin D levels actually be very deficient?
All right. That's interesting. All sorts of tricks out there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to, and it's always Rumble with these insane handles. BRLP1106 is asking from Rumble, what's your opinion on using proper sourdough starter for making bread at home? Does it help with bloating by already going through this digestion process of grains?
It's definitely better than any other bread. It's definitely a step up. I love sourdough bread. If you gave it to me with butter, I would love to have it. But I do find that for me, it still has gluten in there. It's less. I still react to it. It still spikes my blood sugar. I still get bloating. But it's definitely a step up if you compare the two. And then also you have the Ezekiel bread is a step up too. So I guess there's just levels of, it's not always the same quality. So we can beef that up. But some people can tolerate it, more than others. So there's these other factors that, the history of how much junk food that created inflammation in your gut, that now you can't even do anything that remotely resembles bread. Or maybe you didn't, and you have a robust system that can tolerate it. So it's one of those things where you might want to experiment and see if it works for you.
All right, very good. Let's go to Hail Lou 1234 from Rumble. I use generous amounts of olive oil on my salad. Will it increase my belly fat?
No.
Good. Okay, that answers that. How about Najee Wolf from YouTube? My mom had a biopsy of her bladder. What steps would you recommend for her if the result is positive? I guess she means cancerous or something awful.
Well, I would immediately do the most important action that you can if it's a cancer. And the more severe the cancer, I would do more of this one action, which I'll tell you in the next video in a month from now. No, I'm just kidding. Now, what you want to do is you want to do pretty hardcore fasting. So prolonged fasting. So let's say it's stage 4 cancer. If I had that, what would I do? Tomorrow, or actually no, right now I would stop eating, and I probably wouldn't eat for 20 days and try to go for 30 days. Why? Because you are literally going to starve all the resources from cancer. It is nothing. It can't survive, but your body can survive. The body has it can survive on other resources through autophagy and things like that better than the cancer. So cancer actually is very sick. Inside a tumor, it's very it's necrotic. It's like there's dead, dying tissue. It's hypoxic. It's sick. And so knowing that, what's the best sledgehammer? Is it chemo that kills also your cells? Or maybe would it be starvation, right? And then, or we call it fasting, intermittent fasting. But if you did a long fast like that, that would put you in a better place. And then you can go to 1 meal a day and then start, having the right eating plan, which is in a whole different video on Rumble. Actually, you could watch those videos on that.
That's interesting. Okay, well, guess what? This is exciting, audience, because you've answered all the quiz questions early, which means we're going to go on an absolute social media run after this, because we got Lewis done. And it asks, how can someone with normal vitamin D levels be actually very deficient? And 66% of respondents say it's vitamin D malabsorption issue. 24% say it's caused by eating too much junk food, and the remaining 10% say it's caused by liver issues.
Yeah. Couple things about this. Number one, there is no agreement on exact normal values within the experts, okay? That's number one. Number two, vitamin D receptor resistance, where the receptor for vitamin D in the cells, okay, that should connect there, there's resistance in the receptors for most people. I think it's over 60%, which means that the majority of the population cannot absorb or convert the inactive to the active vitamin D like they should. So here you are, you have this normal amount, and what you don't realize is they're testing the inactive version in your blood. They're not checking what's happening in the cells. They're just checking what's in your blood. Well, what about, does it go in the cell? You don't know. So there's a genetic issue. Number one, a variation of your genes that a lot of people have a problem with, including myself and a lot of people that I test. And then there's this other thing where if you had past infection, Epstein-Barr virus, which is very common, I had that. Or if you had Lyme, I had that too. If you had those infections, those microbes already downgraded your receptors. So now we're dealing with the double whammy. Not to mention if you have insulin resistance and you're not outside enough getting exposure to the sun, you can see all the barriers to getting that right amount of vitamin D. So this is why I think we should err on the side of higher amounts of vitamin D. At least 60 milligrams per milliliter, or I said nanograms per milliliter, and then maybe even a little bit higher. Personally, I keep mine over 100 because I've seen the research. And the next question is, well, what about the toxic effects? Yeah, there's one toxic effect, and that's too much calcium in the blood, which can lead to kidney stones. But what about the toxic effects of not having enough, which puts you susceptible to autoimmune diseases, which is the number one problem now on planet Earth? It's like, so you got to weigh out, how can I lessen my chances of getting kidney stone? 2.5 liters of fluid a day. Make sure I beef up with more magnesium. Make sure I check my calcium in my blood and urine, make sure that's negative. And then maybe if you're doing a high doses of vitamin D3 to handle something, maybe you don't consume as much calcium in the diet. Maybe you're on a no calcium diet. Well, that would make sense because now you're lowering your risk for that, but you're getting the benefits of the therapeutic doses. So I know this is a long answer, but it's an important one that I think you can solve a lot of problems with sufficient amounts of vitamin D connecting into your cells.
Wonderful. Okay, here's another person requesting a video, but maybe you can do it live as well. Raven wants to know about iodine and how much we really need daily. I see contradictory information about the right daily amount. I know they got stuff like Idorol and all sorts of, and I guess table salt. But anyway, There you go.
Iodine is another trace mineral that a lot of people are deficient because it's just not in the soils, it's not in the food, unless you're having shellfish or seafood. You're not going to get much of it. So if you compare the what Americans eat versus the Japanese, which have very low rates of getting thyroid problems and other problems related to iodine deficiency, like estrogen dominance and fibrocystic breast and ovarian cysts and things like that. If you compare them, they have, like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 100 times more in their diet. So since iodine is a trace mineral involved in a lot of things, especially to help you as a small child, if you're pregnant, boy, I would make sure you have enough iodine, because then that child could end up with a deficiency which could relate to cognitive deficit, IQ being lower than it should be, simply because there wasn't enough iodine. So that's
Wow.
one thing. Number two, iodine is also needed for testosterone to work in the receptors too, for men. So one of those things, a real simple way to do this is just to take more iodine from sea kelp or shellfish, or just as a supplement, and just see if you don't feel better or your symptoms don't do better. Because I think out of all the things that we're missing, trace minerals are at the top of the list, because they're just not in the food supply as much as they used to. And so that is one supplement that I personally take every single day, trace minerals. I just feel better from it. I don't have a test to prove it, but I just feel like I need it, and I'll take it. I'm like, yeah, okay, this feels good. So just because I know that's one thing that's really hard to get. It's not hard to get, but it's just people don't get it because of the food system.
Well, Dr. Berg, McDonald's fries have 16 different ingredients. How is that possible that they couldn't?
Very easy. Yeah, you need a preservative. You need a flavor chemical in there, and then in that flavor chemical, there's probably 100 different other chemicals to make it taste so good where you can't just have one. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Tracy from Facebook, what's the best way to lower cortisol?
There's a couple ways, but that's a stress hormone, and walking in nature is wonderful. That L-Reuteri yogurt that I have videos on is wonderful, because that increases oxytocin, which is a very powerful reducer of cortisol. A lot of people are sleeping better, they're feeling better with that. Also find out the source of your stress. Are you hanging around people that are not supporting you? Are they toxic people? Are you watching too much of the news? Are you watching YouTube videos that are literally scary as hell, but they're giving you this huge problem? The world's going to be over tomorrow, but they don't give you a solution. So now you're stuck with it, and you go to sleep and you're thinking about it all the time. So you really need to realize that there's a huge group of people that are trying to make things more dangerous, your environment, more than it's really is. So because there's a lot of money tied in with keeping you in a state of flight or fight mode. So.
All right. Let's go to Ruth from YouTube. What's the best natural source of vitamin B1?
Garlic, nutritional yeast, sunflower seeds are all a good source. And beef liver is another good source.
All right. LaDonna from Facebook, my heels are cracking badly. I've used every kind of cream out there. I feel I may be lacking something. Do you have any thoughts for LaDonna?
Yeah, I wouldn't fix this from the outside in. I would fix from the inside out. And there's data to show that a B2 deficiency will cause that. But I think there's more to this, especially when you're dealing with cracked heels. You're probably consuming too many seed oils. So we need to kind of change those out and switch them to something like, butter, saturated fats when you cook, instead of and olive oil, things like that, versus the soy, corn, canola, cottonseed, sunflower, safflower, and even peanut oil. I wouldn't do those because they create, they enlarge they get stuck in your membranes and your cells, and they can create brittleness and And also they inhibit the omega-3 fatty acids. And one of the symptoms for that is the kind of the flaky, dry skin that's around your nose, but it can also affect the drying out of your skin in other places in your body, especially in your extremities, which is part of the heel.
All right, well, let's go to Lisa from Facebook, and she thinks there might be 3 best things to do for a fatty liver. So she wants to know what those 3 best things might be.
Cut your carbs down with a ketogenic diet. Within a very short period of time, you can reduce the fat on your liver. Eggs are loaded with choline. Choline prevents fat from accumulating in the liver, and that comes from egg yolks and liver.
Wow. Okay, that's exciting. Go ahead with that and let us know how it works. Jay from YouTube, what are the best supplements to help with glaucoma and the nerve health in the eyes?
There's a great remedy for glaucoma, not cataracts. Okay, the remedy I would use is high doses of vitamin D3. There's a whole book on it. It's hard to find. I should talk to the author and say, listen, you need to promote this book more because it's hidden. It's written by an ophthalmologist who's a medical doctor specializing in the eye, and he uses in Germany high doses of vitamin D3 for glaucoma. But I think ultimately what's behind that is a problem with your too much sugar, insulin resistance, which causes glaucoma as well. So these are things to, treat the symptom, but let's get rid of the cause at the same time.
That makes sense. Tara from YouTube, is healthy keto okay for someone going... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We already asked that. I should have erased it. Let's go to IQR from Rumble. I have poor focus, low motivation, and memory issues. These symptoms started in my teens, and they're getting worse. How can I reverse these issues? Didn't say how old he is now, but anyway.
Yeah. Hey, join the club. That's what happened to me when I was actually 28, a few years ago. But I think the best way, and if we just take one thing, your brain, the brain's kind of a place where is a really good mirror or reflection of your blood sugars, because when you have these low and higher blood sugar elevation, the roller coaster type thing, you'll kind of go through this fogginess and you won't have the clarity. So if we want to increase cognitive stuff, before you get into supplements like NAD and like niacin, and there's a million of them, or different mushrooms that you can take to help cognitive function, get the diet right. Have high quality protein, meat, red meat, absolutely, positively do that. And then do the high omega-3, the sardines or the salmon too, so we can actually just replace all this good fat with the brain, because you need, it's called DHA, you need that in the brain, but then the protein will support your brain immensely. And also then it'll, if you're on low carb, it'll force your body to run on an alternative fuel for your brain, and that's called ketones. And that bypasses all this damage and allows the brain to work despite the damage. So I think that's what I would recommend. I remember I changed over, and it was like someone that just took a helmet off my head, and I was like, wow, I'm clear, I can think. And so, yeah, I would work on that.
That's very encouraging. Here's an interesting question. MP from YouTube, I'm a 57-year-old man. Why am I losing all of the hair on my legs? Suddenly the hair's going away.
Welcome to old age, right, Steve? No, I'm just kidding.
Oops.
What happens is, as you get older, you start your testosterone goes down. Okay, then the relative estrogen might be a little too high, and then that, if you look at body hair, right, that's a reflection of androgens, and as you lose androgens for various reasons, you'll have less body hair, and that's going to show up mostly in the extremities first, and the body hair. So that's just a sign that you're losing your testosterone. But the other thing that it could be is a blood sugar pre-diabetic type thing too, or insulin resistance, because then you lose circulation, capillary strength in your lower, and then you don't feed the roots of the hair. That's one reason too. But typically, it's definitely an androgen deficiency problem because the ratios of estrogen go a little too high.
All right, very good. Let's go to Aaliyah from Facebook. How do I heal acid reflux and heartburn?
That usually comes from a valve problem on the top of the stomach. So you need to find a good plumber. Now, the valve is leaking because it has a sensor into the pH of the stomach. And when the pH of the stomach, that should normally be between 1 and 3, which is super acid, and let's say yours is 4, 5, or 6, then that signal doesn't tell that valve to close. So it opens up. So then you regurgitate, you get acid reflux, you get GERD. So the solution is to take more acid, not an antacid. So you take betaine hydrochloride, and then you end up correcting the problem. With an antacid, you feel better, but the problem just stays there because you didn't correct the root cause. On another occasion, you might need more B1 to fix the autonomic nervous system, which controls all the valves in the body, including the valve on the top of the stomach. So I have a lot of videos on this topic, but the combination of betaine hydrochloride and B1 would help you greatly.
All right. Nana from YouTube, what can I do for bone density loss? She didn't say how old she is, but she's apparently suffering from it.
There is definitely a hormonal, especially postmenopausal, with estrogen causing problems with the bone loss. So what you want to do is you want to support. The way I would address it is I would just start living a really healthy lifestyle, trying to reduce stress, get more sleep, have nutrient-dense foods, make sure you have enough trace minerals so you have all the cofactors to build bone. To get my calcium, I would take raw, high-quality cheese and maybe some kefir, a plain, not with sugar. I would do these things. I would do bone broth to make sure you have enough collagen too, and then take enough vitamin C from the sauerkraut, raw sauerkraut. These are all things I would take naturally to help provide a situation to get that bone back. But you have to realize once you have the bone loss, it could take 7 years to get that back. Versus what a lot of people do is they'll just take calcium for their bones and think that's going to do anything. No, it's not going to help you. It's going to basically just increase your risk of cardiovascular because you're not taking all the cofactors. One of the studies in Japan with women in osteoporosis, they took a lot of vitamin K2 and there was a reversal of osteoporosis. So that's another thing you want to take. But check this out. When you buy vitamin K2 normally, it's sold in micrograms, like 42 micrograms or 45 micrograms. Well, in Japan, they took like 45 milligrams of K2. It's a lot more. And that's what did it. So there's only a few companies out there that will sell K2 in milligram dosage. But if I had osteoporosis, I would get the milligram dosage and start taking that immediately, of course, with vitamin D3. But then you think about what vitamin K2 does. It's responsible for keeping your bones solid and strong and your teeth solid to keep the calcium in there. So why not use that data to help your bones get strong?
That is encouraging. Okay, let's see. Tio Zahn from Facebook, what's a good home remedy for hypo or low thyroidism?
Most hypothyroid is not regular hypothyroid, it's Hashimoto's. So I'm guessing that's what you have, in which case it's really an immune problem. And there's a couple tips on that. High doses of vitamin D3. I already covered that for autoimmune. And then also, selenium is very important for Hashimoto's, for the immune system, and also to convert to T4 to T3, which is the active form. But also, you want to avoid gluten because there's definitely a gluten component factor that can trigger it. Okay. So anyway, that's what I would recommend.
All right. Well, another week has flown by. Dr. Berg, any closing thoughts?
There's some really, 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 really exciting things coming down the pike that I can't share with you for another couple of months. But just to let you know, there's a huge solution to a lot of problems that I want to share with you I'm very excited about, to the point where sometimes I can't even sleep at night. I'm so excited. So anyway, stay tuned for that mystery that I just put you in, and have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week.